G'day, guys. It's holy moly, episode 10 of Both Sides of the Line. We've got a special guest who we'll introduce in a minute. But first of all, Azza, right-hand man, welcome back. How you been, mate? How's it all been this week?
Thanks for having me back, Daz. Yeah, good. Another good week down, and hopefully we'll understand after this weekend which way our restrictions will start being eased. I'm really can't wait to start seeing that stuff sort of come through because I'm starting to get a bit stir crazy. To be honest, and I'm getting a bit stir crazy. I need to get out.
Yeah, I can imagine, mate. I can feel it, and I don't know if I'm looking forward to it or not looking forward to it, mate, because I don't want to be excited and then deflated. So it's going to be an emotional, confusing day.
Yep.
We've got a guest down below. Ivo Havard is a heart and soul of the local community within sport. For the local community, people will know who he is. And for those who don't, we're about to find out who he is. He's really heavily supported by Paul Hopper, who we spoke to last week from Hopper Motor Group. He really rates Ivo highly. I know what Ivo stands for and what his values are. I rate him highly. And he's the type of guy that you really see within the local community doing those blue-collar jobs and just getting things done and keeping clubs together while also being a very good coach at the same time. So, Ivo, we're going to say welcome, mate. So thanks for jumping on board.
Yep, good on you, Darren and Aaron.
We didn't put our names up today. We'll move the names around a bit later. So basically, Ivo, what we want to try and do, mate, is just get a bit of a glimpse on what it's like to be really involved in local sports. I know you've got a lot to do with the footy clubs and cricket club, coaching. So basically, it gives a bit of a background on who you are, what your stands and values are, and why you do what you do, and basically, what do you do, just so the viewers know.
And thanks, Daz. Look, I suppose at the end of the day, I don't know what I really do.
I'm the same.
Which is interesting because I had my 60th birthday a few years back, and they said, do you want to say a few words? And I said, well, I don't know. I don't know what I am and who I am, and anyway, it rolled from there. But look, I'm committed, I suppose, is the word. Committed to what I do and how I go about things, and the commitment's long and strong in junior sport, especially. I've dabbled in senior sport. It's not my favourite. I'd rather teach a bunch of kids how to go about things and get a different type of respect. And senior sports a hard grind, and you guys know what I'm talking about here. It's sometimes you're belting your head against the wall with the seniors, but the juniors are responders, and a lot more fun, I think. But that big C word, commitment, is probably what I stand for. I think getting up early mornings, being on time for practice sessions and things like that as a coach. And, from coaching, I've led into the admin and being president of this and president of that. And, it's a journey, and it's been a long one, but it's very, very fulfilling. I do love it. I might say I don't know who I am, but a lot of people do. I think they appreciate what I do stand for.
I'm sure they do, mate. I'm sure they do. What are you thinking, mate? What do you want to ask? What do you want to ask Ivo? What are you thinking right now?
Look, I'm more or less going to ask Ivo. I don't know if the viewers may know, so we just want to get probably a little bit more. You're heavily involved with cricket, is that right? The junior cricket is more or less where you've sort of been going or been involved with a lot in the past or many few years, I guess.
Yeah. The coaching journey for me, I'm 64. So the coaching journey started as a 20-year-old, and I got plucked out of, playing senior cricket. I wasn't driving at that stage, believe it or not. I was a bit wild to be behind the wheel of a car, but a good mate of mine said his brother needed a coach, and good mate of mine, it was Kirk, and there's a bit of a story about Kirk Norton later on, but so I went and coached Craig and his team, and I probably didn't know what I was about, and like I was a kid amongst the kids, but we got results, and I probably got the bug from there, and then 22 years of age, I'm coaching the Werribee Footy Club under 19s because they couldn't find anyone, and away I went there, and that was bloody hard because there was a bus every week to out of suburban grounds, and the kids were 18 and 19, and I'm 22, and I'm thinking, geez, this is a ride and a half here. And
you'll probably spend the night drinking.
Yeah, well, it was interesting and different, but that some of those kids, they still connect, and we have some meetings, and they always bring up stories about what happened then, and it was a bit like herding cats trying to get them on time, and but like they were bloody legends of Werribee, some of them now, like they were families that I've seen probably 3 generations, so
yeah.
But that's what got me into coaching, and from there I've just been thrown into it, or not thrown into it, put my hand up for lots of different roles, and developed, and rep cricket coach now, and I dabbled in the senior coaching in cricket, but it was hard work, like I said earlier. But,
so
yeah.
with all
Yeah.
with your coaching, and you obviously done it very young, and we could talk about a whole lot of different things today. This could just go off in any direction. So when you of all the roles you play within administration, coaching, I mean, you put a lot of time and effort into volunteer time or your own personal time, and family time. Were you working? Is this your role? Is this your job? How do you fit it all in? How do you get the balance? Because a lot of people say, I like coaching, but it takes up too much of their time, and it becomes a chore, and they lose the enjoyment, the passion, where people like us, we just do it. Would add more hours to a day that we don't have. We'd find more jobs to do that we don't have time to do. And how did you balance it all? How do you balance it all? Looking back now.
Yeah, look, well, just the enjoyment, you find a way, like there's a lot of fun to be had out of seeing results and making people better, like that's the part that sort of brings me back to it all the time, and I do love it. Like, there's no doubt it's been a big part of my life, and sometimes, look, I'll say it up front that the family probably has suffered from the commitment side of things, that but also in the next breath, the dinner table is full of conversation around sport and coaching and kids and people, and it's a dynamic for our family, and the way we've developed. So it's all good.
Yeah, that makes sense. Obviously you're a hugely experienced coach, so I guess you probably have you said you probably not quite sure why you continue to coach, and probably struggle to define yourself sometimes. In terms of what you bring as a coach, are there certain values you like to instill in your teams in the past, like as the common sort of values that you always sort of try to teach and go to, and why do you, and if there are, why do you sort of try to teach these values to young athletes?
Yeah, look, like I drill down to the whole story on the make sure we're good at the basics and everything else, but I do keep the fun part in it.
Yeah.
I take a lot of focus on the fun part, but the discipline, the on time, the life skills that you've got to have are big at the front front part of any journey for any kid, and they know, maybe I'm an old school type in that area, but they certainly know that Ivo's the boss. I don't step across the line, and I respect them for that, and they respect me for it. So it's a mutual thing that we have, and it works. There's lots and lots of kids that I don't know how many kids you've refereed as for work, Darren, but I'll get a kid every other week wanting a reference for a job, and a phone call here and a phone call there from people looking for references from kids. So not many the other way. I've only had 2 visits to the courts.
That's probably pretty good, because you probably coached so many kids.
They took you to court, or you went to court for them? Which way was it, Ivo? Which was the first one?
Yeah, I was looking out for them, but and that's the thing. That's the thing about, I know we're cracking around a little bit, but that's the thing about sport. There was a famous story I have from an Altona North inspector, and he come to my work one time for an investigation or something. Not that I was in trouble, but I was part of the investigation. But he said, we started talking about sport, and he said, Ivo, there's a famous stat that we use in the force, and it's, the kids who play sport, there's a 2% dropout to crime. Wow. And if I think about over my journey, the thousands of kids that I've coached and had something to do with, and probably had 2 kids who fell out and saw the other side of the law. That's pretty good. That's pretty
Absolutely.
Good. So,
it's an impact you've had, and that's a quality you portray, and they look up to you. I think sports saved my life because of what I went through. It saved me and kept me sort of in check. I was a bit what's the word, off the beaten track for a bit. Is like you said, Ivo and Azza's, he's gone through, because we did some workshops with Azza when he was trying to work out his style of coaching and engaging with the kids, and what's the priorities that they're winning on the court, is engaging the players first, and the culture. Ivo, over the 64 years of your journey, we'll say 44, because if you started coaching around 20 and then 64 now, did you change? I know you've kept a strong values, which I love, is the rules and regulations and knowing your role, but did you have to adapt to each generation, or have you been able to stay consistent with who you were, or did you adapt to suit the group that you have each time? Does that sort of make sense?
Yeah. No. The evolving of your approach had to happen, and like from where I was, probably at a period in time when I was about 30, I reckon that I changed. I reckon that the message or the way my method was starting to lose its way a bit, and I had to change. Like I was probably same old with all the old coaches that I'd had under me, or teaching me, that I hung on to their methods and ways, and at the end of the day, that they'd run their race. So I had to evolve. I had to think of new ways, be innovative, creative, and I brought new methods and new ways to teaching kids, and it served the club well, or the clubs well, and me well, because I got recognised for being a little bit pointier, a little bit different, and and it worked. Like there was some stuff that I know that I took to rep cricket that they still use now.
Yeah.
Some of the training methods and the lessons and lesson plans and things like that, and some of the philosophies. So they're still using that now, which is something I'm proud of. I've written some futuristic documents that people remind me of, that have been on the money as far as you know, the way sports evolved, with especially with girls cricket. Like, you know, I had a really good thought process for that, and where it was going to head, and how it was you know, going to be picked up. And the big one for me, I had a conversation with a guy at an Auskick session. It's another story. I was Auskick head coach for 6 or 7 years, so I've done the full journey. But you know, I said that I think it was 2015 that, you know, women's footy will be massive by about 2020, and probably 2018 it took off. But anyway, look, yeah, like, just probably got off track there a bit, but you know, just innovative and creative, and not settling for that, Aaron. I think, you know, just trying to evolve and keep ahead. And there's so many, you know, modern techniques now with coaching, you know, especially with the internet and everything else. But yeah.
So when you were probably transitioning, Ivo, from probably a way that was sort of tried and true for you, and it got brought to your attention that, hey, you probably need to change things up a bit. Can you talk through that transition? I could imagine, well, I could be wrong, but I could imagine that you tried some things that probably didn't come off. Maybe talk through some of the uncertainty that you probably faced mentally through that time. Because I think as coaches, like, and I say this to Daz all the time, I mean, we try different things, and we try to be right as often as we can, but sometimes we're not right as much as we'd like to think we are, and probably not as confident about going about things as what we'd like to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, look, exposure to higher level individuals, and you know, get given a bit of freedom, you know, or create my own freedom. Like, you know, I felt a little bit, you know, not institutionalised, but probably old school. You know, we've got to do it this way. This is the way it works. You know, we've got to continue to stay the course here, because it's tried and proven. And you know, once I probably got the L plates off and then the P plates, and started to drive myself a bit, guys. You know, it's probably unstoppable. I know what I'm like. I'm a bloody nut. But you know, once I got that freedom and ability to, you know, bring in new tools, you know, spend a lot more money on the coaching aspect of clubs. You know, convincing clubs to spend money on coaching. You know, I love coaching. Any club that doesn't put time and effort and money into coaching are going to be battlers or battling for a long time, because you know, that's the heart and soul of any club. You know, good coaching, good coaches, good people. You know, your club thrives from those people. And you know, if you haven't got them, bloody go and get them. You know, I know it's not easy just to say, I want this guy to be a good coach, but put some time and effort in, and have some patience with them. You know.
I've probably got a couple of questions in one. I don't mean to throw all these questions at you, Ivo. But going about when you get told you got to do it this way because that's how it's always been, you know, that unofficial Bible that was written however many years ago, we've got to follow the same, you know, criteria. But I always felt that if I'm not shackled, I'm so creative. I can just create. Having transitioned, no one can tell me what I can and can't do. I can test things. I can try things. Maybe they work, maybe they won't. But with me and the group together, we can collaborate and try and find a better outcome. How do you find the fact that once your shackles are off, is that part of the reason why you become so involved in clubs themselves, to try and get across the administration that, look, besides running about how to keep a club afloat, you coming across saying we need to find ways to nurture the coaches, also give them a bit of freedom to have their own variation in their coaching styles. And you know, we'll have some sort of concept or core in our values, but we've got to let them go a bit. You know, that's not out of control. But is that why you got involved in administration, or is that a totally different reason altogether?
I think, you know, like, it was the administration part was I'd probably done my time with playing, and there was a bit of coaching, and there was more to be done. And I'm the type that will throw myself into things, probably deep end sometimes, and just try and make a difference. But with coaches and a coach would come to me for anything they want, and I will support them.
Mm-hmm.
I will support them. Now, sometimes I know it's dead end, or but because they want to do it, I never say no to a coach because they want to do it.
Yep.
And if they've got the passion and the commitment, and they want to have a crack at things, and they want 15 metre bloody mats or whatever they want. Sometimes I've got to watch the cost part, but basically I'll try and deliver for them as long as it's within financial means and everything. But just supporting the coaches is so important to one, get them on board, two, get them to have the right feel for the club. This bloke's going to support me, so I'll give that little bit extra, and they do because you've offered that support to them. But and from there, if they do have a little bit of a fall and disappointment or whatever, they learn.
Sure.
And it's just a learning game, and but they'll be better for it. That's the way it works.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What as I know what you want to say. It's one thing I'll ask about. Sorry, as there's something about, we always talk about. I'm not saying there's mental health involved here, but you're very passionate. You love what you do. You love the way you do it, and you love the reward you get out of seeing people change. So you're creating better versions of people, whether it be in the admin, on the field, as a coach, as a community as a whole. I can see that in you, and it's strong, and you hear about it as well if you're in the local community. Ivo, how do you carry and deal with the emotional burden that you take on board to help all those people? Because you're not just helping a few, you're helping many. It's something that we go through, and I don't think you can explain. If you're really passionate and you're very true to what you do and why you do it, you go far and beyond, but you go even further. How do you deal with the emotional burden that you got to carry to make them better? Does that make sense, as in Ivo?
Yeah. Look, it becomes a way of life and part of your life, Darren, and Aaron, and you learn along the way that not everyone's the same. We're all different, and God knows how many people I've had in tears and put my arm around a girl or a boy or a woman or a man, and I've seen it all, and like that tears me, but also you're a coach always. Your first reaction is to feel for that person, and the arm around is such a tool that just creates that level of understanding instantly. And like sometimes I have to tell people to nick off because I have a method and a way of getting through and trying to understand and getting people to understand that whatever's just happened isn't the end of the world. Like there's always a solution. But that empathy part and the compassion, and you never lose touch with that, and it's a skill you learn, it's a skill you develop, and you have your highs and you learn about that, but you can't take your eye off that bottom part, because so many people go through that, and well, probably more people go through that than the ecstasy and the high of sport. So you've got to have a great feel for that person who's come out the other end and feeling so good about things. But yeah, it's a skill you develop. You know that, Darren. You're renowned for that part. So not patting you on the back here, buddy. But
thanks, mate. I appreciate that. That's I mean, we're very emotionally connected with what we do and what we do. It's not a business, and it's not. That's what we're doing. What we're doing. We don't know we're telling what we're doing. We just want to engage it. I know Az has got he's got a cloud in his head with a million questions. So, what are you thinking, Az?
No, I was more or less going to ask Ivo. It's you again, an experienced coach and person. You've seen a lot of life. The ability to teach coaches and people through the emotional, developing that emotional intelligence. Do you think that's something that you have to experience the low of lows to sort of develop that quickly, or is it more or less just the values or principles you hold as a person that can sort of help you, I guess, develop that slowly along the way, if that makes sense? Do you find, I don't know if I phrase that correctly, do you find you have to have the low of lows to develop that quickly, or is it something that you can develop through just learning off people over time?
You're never ready for it. You're never ready for it, because that oh shit moment is usually that you say, oh my God, what am I going to do here? It's a big moment, but just again the experience and the first thing when that happens is that arm around, just that warmth, that feeling of you're not alone, and people are here to support you. It's really important, and like that can be the biggest icebreaker of all time. Just that person to be there for that person. So just on the other side with teaching coaches and that, like I share everything that I go through. I'll talk to people about it and make sure that they're understanding of the situation, and they'll get learnings from it. It's so important that the sharing of situations and problems versus solutions. Like it's so important that they get a feel for that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think it's something that, and this is probably my own experience, Daz and Ivo, is, and maybe it's my generation a little bit of coaches that we tend to probably protect out of fear of judgment or whatnot than we do share. I don't know if you two sort of maybe are starting to see that across this more sort of modern age.
Yeah.
Maybe just your comments or thoughts.
It's a tough one. It's I find that the young generation have got so much political correctness, so we've got to be careful how you show your emotion, how you show your true feelings, and how it comes across. You worry about how every single person sees you and feels about you. Then you got a lot of people trying to tell you what you should be doing, because what would you know, and you're still trying to find your feet. Baby steps. You got Ivo's generation, my generation. There's three generations with us, and then another generation again. We've all got different stories, but the ones who make the most impact are the ones who sort of free themselves those shackles we sort of talked about before. If you be you, like we're so worried about what everyone else thinks and judgment day that, man, I'm going to be judged for the right reasons. They're going to say you tried. I'm prepared to go down and fight. I'm prepared to fall short and have my failings, which I've had many of. I've made bad choices. I've made bad rotations. I've made bad selections. But at the end of the day, you got to stay true to you and what you stand for. I made that decision because I honestly believe that's how I felt about it. Not because I think they wanted that. I think they wanted me to say that. I'm not really sure. Yeah. There's a lot of confusion there where people worry about being themselves and being true to themselves. I'm not really sure why. Is it? What do you think of it? Ivo, you're the older generation out of us. Not saying you're old. You're still a young mate. But like You would have been like, I mean, you got the the old generation was, it was just, that's how it was. It's black or white. And there's so many. Well, what's right? What's wrong? What can I say? What should I, talking about the arm around someone? I mean, if it looks natural, they're gonna say that's just the general person. If it's not looking comfortable, they're gonna say that looks weird. So the person worry about, well, should I be doing that? Does that make sense? It's just so hard to judge or feel it.
Yeah. I look at the protective mode.
It's got to be natural.
Not too much, sugar coating of bloody reality now. And we're in a different age. There's no doubt about that. So I'm not going to judge how people do things now.
Yep.
But I think we've still got to get the balance of there's got to be that honest message versus trying to coax someone to be something they're not.
Yeah.
That's the truth of it. If you're trying to get them down a path of where they can't make that person, they can't be that person. So why not be honest with them? Why not be truthful and just say, well, look, just cut here. This is where you're at. This is how much you have to make up. Instead of probably giving them some false indicators, and I think there is a little bit of that, Aaron.
Yeah.
But I think the balance might come back. I think the balance of the information flow has to come back.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Aaron, I've got a question for you.
Yes. Oh, ripper. Here we go. I'm on the spot now.
Who was the coach that had the most impact on you growing up?
Growing up,
Name names. I've already established it wasn't Darren.
I've had no impact on Aaron, mate. He not telling him. He just goes, whatever. What would you know?
I was really lucky to have a really good coach at a youngish sort of age. So it was rep basketball for me, bottom age 14. So I had two coaches who coached me that year, two Werribee people, Warren Adoni and Michael Porch, who were rep coaches for me. And they themselves were rep players and been through the program, and they'd been a part of a team that went all the way to the Australian Nationals from memory and did some unbelievable sort of things there. And the reason why I valued them as really good coaches for me that I've had is they were the first one to put an arm around you. Absolutely, like you said before. And being a young lad transitioning out of that sort of boy to young teenage sort of years can be, you're going through a wave of emotions and the changes, physical and emotional changes. So they were great for me, but they were also the first ones to demand hard work and respect and dedication, commitment. And those are the values that I've taken with me through my coaching from learning that at such a young age, at the age of 12, 13. So, yeah, those were two really good coaches for me.
What about you, Daz? I'm taking over here.
No, this is a good thing because, and then we'll ask guys to say, I've always struggled with this because Paul Watkins, Doc Watkins, the old, he's an old veteran of Werribee, the Watkins family. The Bustle family introduced me to basketball, but I think Doc Watkins had an impact. But in those days, I don't think we understood, or I don't think the platform, they understood what to do with the talent they had because Melbourne Tigers were so strong and they were just big clubs and we were just more would fill in the numbers for the competition. But there was a few of us in ours that we could play, but we trained a lot ourselves. Like I was always in the driveway 3 hours a day. So, and I didn't really have, because I lived in Altona, there was no stadium around us. So I had to go to Werribee and then straight back home. And so I wasn't under the influences where I'd live by a stadium and be at a stadium and all day. I'd go there, do my thing, and I could play. I'm not trying to, but I did a lot on my own. But I knew Doc Watkins would also oversee me and support me if I ever needed it. He'd chip in his words of wisdom and give me the support I needed if I needed it. But I just felt that we just didn't have that platform in place. So I find it hard, and I don't want to sound arrogant where I could do it myself. I couldn't, because at 17 I walked away from the game because I had no one around me to convince me that I should keep going. I've had enough, and I shouldn't have. It was the worst decision ever. I don't regret it. I'm loving what I'm doing now, but I didn't have that around me. So that's probably why I want to give back so much as well with my life, what I've experienced, and that. Why I'm so worried about. Please don't walk away. Once you've walked away, you've walked away. Fear that regret, fear the. Yeah, I don't think I had that enough of that, but yeah, I knew they needed them, but maybe I didn't use them.
How many kids that you've coached are coaches now?
Actually, there's a few. I'm proud of the fact that our TS family have all been under us. So my family of coaches, besides Tim Devlin, but I've coached against him. They've been our juniors have come through and then become coaches as a TS under the TS banner. But yeah, I see the kids coaching domestic. I couldn't even a lot, and I love walking down the stadium going, "There's that young kid coaching," and you got 12-year-olds coaching under 10s, and I love it. It makes my day, and they do come to me for advice, or I get a phone call and how would you deal with this and that, and it's great. A lot, yeah, I'm proud of that. I really am.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
So who's yours then? Who would you say would be the person that led you astray? Not astray. Who led you the right way? Actually, you tell me who led you astray and who led you the right way. Give us both.
Well, look, you never forget your coaches. I don't think. I remember a junior cricket coach, and I'd ride me little 24-inch bike down to Galvin Park. I was Centenary Crescent then, Werribee North, and this guy lived in Shores Road, Arthur Farthing. He was always there at 5:30, whatever it was, and no daylight saving, so you'd be there for an hour or half an hour or 3/4 an hour, whatever it was, and he'd have the kit bag, and that was the start of my journey, and with junior cricket, and it was all to do with the coach, and then the footy was next door neighbour, Peter Shug, and he started coaching. Or no, I think he put his hand up to coach, and I said, "Oh, can I play?" And I think I was 12 and he was coaching under 16s, and there was no 12, 14, 16 back then, as you know. Darren, maybe you don't know Darren because you're not as old as I am.
I'm catching you.
It was probably under 16. Like I played under 16 cricket when I was 9. Like it was bloody playing against beasts. They were bloody men mountain compared to me. But those coaches meant a lot to me, and then getting into senior cricket. And look, I did lead us into this because my good mate, and he's a bit of a bloody legend. I love him. That Kirk Norton was probably the best captain coach I've ever played under, and he was a coach. The way he coached was follow me and be strong and do it my way. We'll be successful. Captain coach, so that was his style, and you did things for Kirk that you probably wouldn't have done without his influence. So that's a style of coach he was, and I think back to all the players that we played cricket with Kirk, and a lot of them have become presidents of clubs, coaches themselves, and if it hadn't have been Kirk as a coach, maybe those guys wouldn't have entered into that arena of admin, of leadership, because they wouldn't have had that influence of making a difference, and that's what coaches can do. They can make men of people. There's no doubt, or make leaders of people. I shouldn't say it, male only. because that's a coach's influence. They can improve the community, make leaders of people. Turn them from followers into leaders. And Kirk had that knack. There's no doubt that he's a legend, and his influence at Werribee cricket is undeniable and still there. Like he's left a legacy for forever. That we're a club that's strong on cricket. We value the way cricket's played, and not always the Kirk Norton way. He sometimes put his toe over the line, Darren and Aaron. You know what I mean? But,
he works with Reece Luke, mate. They're both shifty, so I can understand how they both roll. I like to go on golf trips with Reece, so I can just imagine what they're up to, mate.
But he left a legacy, and that's what I hope. Well, I pretty well know I have done that with Werribee Junior Cricket Club. I've left a strong legacy of commitment to the kids, and it's got to start at the very bottom, and it's called Woolworths Blaster now. It used to be called Have a Go. Like Werribee Junior's always been strong in that. At Point Cook Footy Club, where I've been president for 3 years and now junior vice president, Auskick is number one priority. I'd rather pay for the Auskick coordinator than paying a senior footballer whatever money they're on per match, because if you don't have that Auskick coordinator or the Auskick coaches even, we don't pay them, by the way, right now, but eventually I think that's the way it should roll. You'd rather spend money down the bottom and make sure you've got success at the senior end because of that time and effort you put into the bottom. But yeah, so they're the legacies that I've sort of tried to leave, is make sure you look after that base, make sure you look after the junior base first and foremost and as a priority, and the rest will look after itself. I'm not sure basketball how it works with the junior program, what it's called. I know netball, like netters, whatever it's called, but
mini hoops and all introduction. And
that's right. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really know if it's like a set in stone, whether it's just more engagement, participation days. Would you agree that the mini hoops thing is, or hoop time, whatever it's called? No, hoop time's the primary stuff. But
yeah,
the more folks at the other end.
Yeah, it's usually driven on just driving up participation numbers. But going to what Ivo was saying before, and this is probably my general criticism of our sport, Daz, with basketball, is we don't invest enough at the lower levels. We don't. We invest we try and invest at the top end, and invest for the now and the results of this year or the next year. But we don't take that bottom up look. We generally don't have the patience to grow that bottom end in the right way. So it holds the program in good stead for years to come, where it's hugely focused on just the winning and the now at the top end. And that's probably why we see now more than ever so many players and coaches bounce between clubs and whatnot, because they're probably searching for that. But I think it's something that's hard to find at the moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's where tell me if I'm right or wrong, but with football and cricket, so you'll have your representative like it's a carnival, or it might be a weekend, where basketball rep is all year, domestic is all year. So the focus is so much on the representative, where the kids, they've already been there, but now they're putting 20 sides in each age group. So is it rep? Is it domestic? Is it really true to what it stands for? It's not where you've been chosen and selected to make a representative side. Virtually, if you try out, you're going to make a side. If you don't, you'll go to another club. You make a side there. And then the grassroots, it's so big that it's just like as it's engagement, participation. And I'm not going to say it's a major thing, but maybe I said that without saying that. They focus at the top end, like as said, but not the bottom end. So what we try and do at TS now is we're saying, well, we want to focus on the grassroots, because we don't care if you're going to be a state player tomorrow or an Australian player. We just want to make you a better version. we'll get you prepared, so then we can enter you into the rep program where then they've already got you in good stead to develop the next level.
Yeah, a lot of teaching, and so it's a way to go. Like there's some clubs who are relentless for success, but they don't have a junior program or a Woolworths Blaster or an Auskick program. I'm thinking, seriously, like you're here for the now, but you're not going to be there for the future.
That's it.
You're going to kill yourself off. So, so I've got a bit of a role back with the Western Region Junior Cricket Association this year to just sharpen clubs up and across the board. And I think there's 45 to 50 clubs, and that'll be the intention. Will be to make sure they're on the right path to ensuring they've got their base right. Really important. So,
is that your main focus moving forward? Is to do that role, or are you still going to do all your subcategory roles on top of that, or you're going to try and fit it all in, or is that going to be your main focus going forward?
Yeah, no, that's going to take a big chunk because it's a Cricket Victoria, Cricket Australia initiative. So, they've entrusted me to get things going and get things better at clubland. So that's a role that I'm really looking forward to because it's a bit of a signature time for me to say, okay, I'm recognised for what I've done and how I've done it.
Spot on.
Again,
it's a legacy, mate.
With that little bit of legacy. Anyway,
is that just a normal role, or is that because the Western Suburbs is such a fast growing population that there's just so much excitement and opportunity that's why they need such a role to keep it, to tune in, keep it together, and develop it together? Is that why it's happening, or is it just a role that's normally in place?
Well, there's a couple of stories to it. But, Western Region Junior Cricket Association is going gangbusters.
Right.
So numbers, participation, Aaron, as you mentioned before.
Yeah.
But participation doesn't always equate to performance.
Correct.
And,
that's right.
They've recognised that, and in conjunction with Cricket Victoria, Cricket Australia, they've entered into a pilot program. And Cricket Victoria, Cricket Australia, they've bottomed out on dollars a bit, so probably on a cheaper way to get a result, but also from the region, grassroots, they've looked in at that and said, let's get these guys, trying to get the region going. So that's the reason I'm in there.
It's awesome, mate.
So
it's a great role.
Back for you, buddy. Well done.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that. And on the other stuff, I'll keep going with the footy, Point Cook. Keep going with the Werribee Juniors. I'm going to help out a team there, and my own son's team under 17.5 team. Werribee Seniors, Werribee Senior Cricket, I'll keep going with that. We've got a new home to get to out at Alfred Road, which hopefully will become a cricket hub for Cricket Victoria, with some politics to be put aside. But a few projects left, and still motivated. The big M word, Aaron.
Yes.
And I love my sport, and I think I said to you, Darren, the other day, there's one thing I would love to do was probably convert sport and my community life into bank dollars, but hasn't quite worked out that way. But
it doesn't.
Maybe on community rich versus bank rich, that's what I always say.
And that's where people got to realise, to do such a thing, they don't realise what the risk you're taking on the financial. There is no financial reward. Like you said, it's that rich reward. It's that true feeling of satisfaction that if the dollars come, you know what, you get paid. It's a bonus. If there's something out of it, great. But, mate, don't open a basketball court if you want to make money. It's about getting people on the court, keeping me out of trouble, and making sure they're focused on when the real things come in life and the real challenges come, that somehow we've helped them find ways to navigate through as we are now in COVID-19. As I know you've been doing your head, you just tell me virtually your workload is. I thought I had a massive workload. Right? I thought I was I am overcommitted. How did COVID-19 stuff with your head, knowing you've just come to a dead stop? That's because I'm struggling. I'm struggling, mate. I'm struggling.
So I mentioned the C word, commitment.
Commitment, yeah.
I mentioned the M word, motivation.
Yep.
Now the N word is Netflix.
Actually, I've never watched so much. I've just watched too many. I've been watching Netflix. Crazy, mate. You're like you live in this world with them. You think I'm part of that story now. You watch a 9. You think I'm part of it. Good point. Okay, yeah, got something.
I just finish. I know we've probably gone over, but
we always go over.
Zoom meeting. Yeah, no, it's good. The Zoom meeting last night with the WRFL. Like I'm on that board as well, Darren. That's another story. But the junior board for the footy. But you know, they said, we run the junior forum this year in November, and a couple said, there's no real need. You know, we haven't got anything to tell the people. I said, if we don't start running things and doing things, the lack of motivation will be coming from way too far back. So we've got to engage the clubs. We've got to get them, you know, restarted. You know, get the engine started. You know, like some of them are big engines to start up, and if you haven't got the people motivated, all of a sudden the club's going to stall. You know, so we've got a few problems coming up. You know, not only monetary, but just that motivation to get clubs, you know, really fired up. It's going to be hard.
Yeah,
tough times ahead. We think it's tough now. I always say when we open back up, it's a change. Are we going to adapt? How are we going to find the new ways, the new normal, whatever that is, and mate, it's going to be a whole new look and feel that I don't think people are going to be ready for.
No, it's.
That's the great unknown, isn't it? We just don't know the magnitude of that, do we? I mean, we tend to probably think of worst case scenario, but it could be a case that our worst case scenario isn't even close to it. You know, so we've got to start laying that groundwork now. I agree with you there, Ivo.
Yeah. Hey, I'm just thinking, I don't know. I don't know how you feel, but because we're going to need an hour, I would love. Can we get you on again in a couple of weeks, Ivo? Because then we can actually really go into your stories of, you know, you've obviously met high profile people. You've also got good stories you probably want to talk about that, you know, those really satisfying, heartfelt stories. But then you've also got the other end. We've probably got those sad, heartbreaking stories that are part of what we do and the things we got to cope and deal with. Would you mind if we pull an end to this soon and then we get you back on in a couple of weeks just to get a real in-depth detail on some stories I think we would like to hear that I think other people would really love to hear?
Yeah, for sure, Daz. You know that. I was a little bit, had some trepidation about today, but
he was
appreciate the way you guys have handled it, and I've really enjoyed it. So probably talk too much, but no, it's been terrific. I appreciate it, boys.
No, it's great.
The thing with COVID-19, mate, you can't talk enough. I mean, people are going to just want to hear, as long as they're hearing it and they can engage in part of it. And look, our message is pretty simple. As long as you engage in it, you enjoy it, even just part of it, mate, that's why we're doing it. There's no other reason why we're doing it, just to give them something to, a bit more positive, a bit more upbeat, bit of good stories here. And I love the old school stories. So, let's get you back on, Ivo. That's the main goal, I think. So Azza, I'll go to you, then we'll go to Ivo, and then I'll sign him off. But Azza, what are your thoughts on the chat and Ivo and meeting him and all that stuff?
Yeah, it's been great having Ivo on. I tell you that. A wealth of experience there, and that's the thing that I think Ivo sort of touched on, and I think we'll touch on when we get together again, us three, and chat, is the ability to storytell and just share experience, and because that's the only way we're going to learn. And going through this COVID-19 at the moment, I know a lot of that storytelling and sharing of experiences has probably stopped because we're all just sort of in this holding pattern. But I think it's something that's really important. We've just got to get together with who we can, or virtually at the moment, virtually, and just keep sharing, because the more we share, the more it's probably going to help us in longer term get through it or out of this quicker, if that makes sense, out the other side quicker.
Spot on. Well said. Ivo, thoughts on today, mate?
Well, I appreciated the time, boys, and I reckon the next show we probably should bring a couple of stories each, because we've got a good spread. Aaron's at least 38.
Nearly, Ivo. I'm on my way. Don't worry about that. I feel it.
Well, in your 20s, 30?
No, early 30s. Coming
Early
towards mid 30s. Yeah. 33 right now.
47.
Aaron's 21.
Yeah, I
going on. And I think across the three guys, we'd have some stories that are a good mix, and a good blend of the way we handle things, and like just at different age level and the times, how we have done it. They might be similar stories, but we might have handled them different because of the experience levels and different things. But anyway, but I've loved it, and you guys are doing a terrific job, and transition rocks, no doubt.
Thanks, mate. We appreciate you guys. So, guys, Ivo, we loved having you on, mate. We just know the coaching yourself is just people will buy into it. The idea of what we're doing is, whether you're a big name, no name, local community, whatever, we all are names. We all have a name. We all stand for something, and it's just good to hear different people's stories from different areas where they come from. We're just general people who just want to do a generic thing and just engage with the community for the right reasons. So we want to say one of our same messages will always be: stay strong, stay safe, stay well. You are not a burden. We keep saying this. Everyone's fearful because we're all in the same storm. We keep saying it. We're in different boats or different scenarios. We deal with differently, some better than others. It's okay, but some people like to help others in return while they're going through the same storm. So one and all in, we'll do it together. So reach out, guys, anyone, anytime. If you struggle with that, ring me personally. I'm fine with that. All right, guys. We're out of here. Ivo, hang back for 2 minutes when we shut off. We want a quick thank you personally. Everyone, stay well, stay safe, and we're getting Big Bad Ivo back in a couple of weeks, and it's going to be exciting. So love you all, guys.
See you guys.
See you, family.
Bye.
See you guys.